Alrighty. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to yet another VOD review, analysis, whatever you guys want to call it. Pleasure to have you all here. Now, of course, everyone has been pretty psyched about the fact that Team Empire won. Obviously, I predicted it would be an EU team taking it out, and alas it was. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to do this VOD review. I know that my whole schedule has been pushed later into the evening now since work is back, but it's very important that I keep doing these VOD reviews for all you guys because I know you've been thoroughly enjoying them and I really enjoy them too. So let's see what we can get out of this one. Now, I've decided to do the almighty map on Oregon in the finals between EG and Empire, where it looked like in every way, shape and form, EG was about to pull this out and 2-0 Empire, but Empire, just the tenacity on them is just insane. So I definitely want to highlight that. I want to do a little bit of analysis on what maybe went right for EG, what went right for Empire, and what went wrong for both of them in both the defense and attacking halves. So let's see what we get through and what we can see as we go. And I watched this live, so seeing this now on the VOD and the VOD perspective and whatnot may come across as a little different. Maybe there's things I didn't see when I was actually there, and so that'd be really interesting to see. Now, as you guys sort of go through, make sure that you're pretty critical of the fact that these guys are in one of the most stressful gaming situations you can be. You're at a LAN, you've got hundreds of people screaming at you, you got noise cancellation headsets over your in-ears. The stress that is put on these players is absolutely immense, and especially at LAN environments, a lot of people don't play the same that they might play online. They might play better, they might play worse, so it's really important to be critical of one of those. So, all right, let's get underway. Now, at the top there, I know it says Bank. I don't know why they have Bank there, but the second map was Oregon. First map was Clubhouse, second one being Oregon. Team Empire bans Montaigne. Not a surprise. You'd seen Canadians sort of shift onto the Montaigne, so pretty good one to get rid of, especially on Oregon. And then EG comes out and they decide to ban Capitao, which is being banned really consistently now, both in scrims and official games, so not surprising. Plus, it gives you a lot of safer areas to sit when you're on defense, downstairs especially. And of course, EG works out whether or not they're going to bear the mirror, they're going to play the mirror, what are they going to do about it? They decide they're going to get rid of the Maestro instead. Smart pick, but either way, that does leave it down to Team Empire. And because Team Empire is starting on defense, they decide they're going to ban the mirror and play what they usually play, which is not a mirror. In EU, we barely ever play mirrors. So no point leaving it open, not being prepared for it. Not prepared for whatever maybe EG has with mirrors, and they will have not strutted because they do the same thing all the time anyway. Too much with the mirror. And there I am in the back there somewhere. Not that you can see me. But alas, that's how it goes. So, beautiful atmosphere. Thoroughly suggest going to one of these finals if that's something you're able to do. And then there's Kazoku sitting there, back there, because him and I had a chat as best we could, but all right, let's see if this will skip forward. All right, of course, for the first round, you can see, oh my god, these are some Gucci layouts. Okay, this is what I must have seen on the big screen, but done in a more compact way. So they decide to go top floor first. Not a surprise. Top floor is really preferred by a lot of different teams these days. Empire bringing the Echo as their denial there because the Maestro is banned, and they've also got a smoke as well. A few really default operators. Also not a surprise that they're playing with Attic. I mean, Empire's the kind of team that's pretty confident holding lines of sight, so nothing that I would have expected them not to do. And their new addition, Dan, playing the flex of Legion. Now, the pick of Glaz by Canadian, I'm not a huge fan of Glaz. I obviously know that it's played in a lot more in other regions than it is in EU. But the pick of Glaz kind of surprised me, and especially the way that they wanted to use him. They obviously wanted to be able to hold the angle down onto kids' dorms and get some kind of pick there, because that's applicable for them. That's easy for them to do, but he didn't really play that kind of angle. He sort of decided to rotate over, and I wasn't really sure of his purpose straight away. And joystick playing in small tower absolutely blows my mind. I mean, I assumed they had a drone. They would have pre-placed drones, which would have worked out the fact that he was in there. And it wasn't until they initially started droning that they worked it out. And this, to me, Necrox missing that kill was a little bit of quite possibly a miscommunication between the droner and Necrox. And that should be an easy kill, especially as he was running away. He had his entire back to Necrox, so that would have been a kill that he should have initially got straight away, very quickly. He only takes about 25 damage as a result. So I know that there's a roam setup, and this is something I want to highlight very quickly. This, for EG, looks like a really bad round because they've already spent the entire half of the round running around the building, droning, and seeing one person and doing 25 damage in that entire half round. So they really haven't done much. They've worked out that there is one person roaming. Duh, okay, you know, they do it all the time anyway, not a surprise. But they've not really done much else. And I've seen Necrox do an entire loop to come over to Armory. I've seen Canadian do an entire loop from Junkyard all the way around to Small Tower. I've seen players who should have just spawned over there if that's so what they wanted to do in the beginning anyway and saved all this time. So a lot of wasted time. I don't know if they spawned in the wrong spot or maybe they just didn't have the correct pre-placed drones. I mean, NA is not known too well for its droning economy, so that could be part of it. Now they finally get bathroom open. They get a little bit of control, nothing crazy. They still don't have kitchen control. The time's withering down. They get into dining. They drone again. I mean, they're doing the right thing. They're trying to obviously get this control that they need. And it does look like it does start to speed up when they realize that they have the control that they need to take both dining, hold wide stairs, etc. Necrox is doing the right thing there by staying garage, holding any of the rotates. That's a very important place to play. And I mean, this whole time, all the joystick needs to do is just delay time. Obviously, I would have assumed he'd have an ADS there, but it may have been destroyed. So he does get naded pretty easy by Geo. But I mean, look at that. If I'm joystick right now, and I look at the time, I'm feeling pretty happy. Like, real happy. I'm like, yo, I am the MVP of this round. You ever waste that much time solo? Son, that's what I'd be thinking if I was him. I'd be like, that's amazing. I just pretty much gifted my team this round, for sure. Now that they've, and this is the thing. Now that they've got all this kitchen control, they've got all this control, but it took them pretty much the entirety of the round, they start to panic and they realize we just have to collapse on site any way we can. So they kind of go with a strategy. They kind of run out of time. Not really much they can do, so they start trying to take pics. The Glaz starts trying to take pics. Geo's trying to go up wide stairs. I mean, mind you, like someone else is downstairs. Karzeka was playing in classroom, which they had no time to check because they barely taken bathroom, dining, and kitchen at the end of the round. And now it's just these picks going back and forth. So you can see all these players trying to run in, get their kills. Shepard just has to play passively there. Of course, beautiful refrag there by Canadian, but he's very lit. And the only thing that saved them there, in those flurry of kills, so Shepard gets young, shouldn't have swapped to his secondary. I know he had one bullet left, but he could have tried to utilize it. Didn't have time. PMM takes him out. And then what you don't see is that Necrox decides to come to the window, is able to take out Scyther. And then the one thing that wins them the round, realistically, is that Karzeka is taken out by a Claymore. That's really what won EG the round. If you ask me, that round should not have been theirs in any way, shape, or form. They were held for over half the round by one operator. One operator in the kitchen took them that long to displace and kill. So realistically, only thing that won them round was that Karzeka very likely made a bad decision and wasn't in the right place. So if I was EG, I would not be feeling confident after that round whatsoever. It's really not a round to be happy about. Team Empire sitting there going, what the fuck? How did we lose a round like that? Joystick also sitting there bewildered because, you know, he did his job ×2. And then they decide, you know what, we really shouldn't have lost that. Let's go again. Do the exact same thing we did last time. Obviously, the roamers are going to change their place around a little bit. But for the most part, they predominantly do the same thing again. Of course, this time, you can see that instead of bringing the Glaz, EG go, oh, that didn't work so well. I really didn't have an impact with that as much as I would have liked to. And that would have been Canadian, of course. And him going, okay, I need to switch on to something a little bit more appropriate. They also decided to bring the Thatcher and whatnot. So I definitely think they were preparing for a bottom floor push. But nothing wrong with preparing for a bottom floor. Because it also works on top floor push as well. So you can see there NVK on the Thatcher and then Canadian going on the ZOWIE. The IQ on Necrox is also very helpful. But alas, he's only going to spot a few things. So realistically, the best thing he can do is trying to get some yokais and some lesions where he can. This time they have pre-placed drones. They're checking everything methodically. This is better. They've learnt their lesson. Now, the one thing that worries me for the side of EG consistently is that a lot of them drone for themselves. A lot of them either drone for themselves or look confused as to who's meant to be droning what area when. And when someone's meant to be moving in there. So when you hot drone, or not even hot drone, when you drone a room and then you take it, that's called zoning. And when you zone really quickly, there's some teams in NA and EU that can zone certain parts of the map extremely quickly, usually with even pre-placed drones, etc. You can see it. It's fluent. It looks nice. It looks slick. With EG, it constantly looks like multiple people are droning, one person pushing, then that person getting off the drone, then pushing, and then it could just be one droner the entire time. Instead, they switch, they go, they check, and a lot of that's really inefficient because they put a drone in there, they check, and then they drive it back and pick it up, or they put it somewhere that no one's watching that drone anymore. And suddenly, no one really knows if that room is free or not. Necrox takes out Scyther. He was peeking from the windows as he was doing in the first round. So not a surprise that they do get the hit on him there. I mean, you're taking a 1v1 there. So as you can see there, sees the yokai, flicks down onto him. Really great shot. Necrox is a great shot when he's focusing. Now, this. One thing Joystick does every single time he can on Oregon is run out of this dining door. Now, I don't care where you put claymores, he will find a way to destroy it. Mind you, being unable to shoot that drone, Necrox coming in, getting his own kill there. Beautiful round for Necrox. So at this point, Necrox is having an awesome round. But it's not out of anything other than pushing people. He is pushing, he is making face checks, he is using his drones by himself. He's essentially like that person who's top fragging on your team who's solo queuing. You jump into a rank with like 4 of your buddies and then there's a solo queuer that like doesn't want to talk. That's kind of how Necrox looks. Of course, Karzeka is then able to take out MVK who was playing over big tower side. And now the time control for EG is a lot better than it was in the first round for them. Shepard's able to take out Necrox, of course, because that's an easy pick for him because he knows where to look. And now suddenly we've got this sporadic push, this this mess of a kind of coordination between the EG players, not knowing exactly where they want to push, and the fact that Geo is consistently pre-firing towards kitchen shows me that, one, they have no idea whether someone's in there, which, I mean, Empire's not running a mute or anything. Why can a drone not get in there? And there's even a drone in the hallway. There's a drone upstairs. They're seeing people upstairs. He does use his final grenade, which is great. Doesn't connect the way it needs to. And for me, it's like EG just sort of dances around the map until they can take enough picks or they run out of time and they just are forced into sight. Canadian there peeks into attic where Kazeka is because he had his attic rotate and gets completely taken out. Now for me, all Canadian had to do was stand a little bit further back, throw out a drone and check where people were, because I could see a few drones around the map that were on the ground, and whether or not every single one of these 3 operators, because before we had MVK and stuff die, would have had drones. It seems a little bit odd to me that the droning's not coming out. Drone economy, very important. Alrighty, they did the right thing there. So Geo and Young, what they did was they went, all right, I'm going to flash, you push up white, I'm going to jump in double, we're just going to try and go for kills. I mean, when you're in that situation, that's kind of all you really have to do. So there really was nothing for me to analyze on this because they did the right thing. It's just that Empire didn't need to peek because it was the last 30 seconds, no loss, no one was in there close to planning, they had numbers count, etc. Now, every single round thus far for EG should have been Empire rounds. The first one, not going to Empire in a flurry of kills, that was luck, realistically. The second one, okay, there were a couple of picks there that shouldn't have happened. The echo on the window probably shouldn't have died. The refrag from Shepard was pretty good, so that made it even count. But EG just spends their time dancing around the map, not really looking like they know where they want to plant, let alone where they want to enter. And that's really worrying because if you're a team that knows how to attack on Oregon, you either do a dorms push or you do like a generator push, a bedroom push. And it doesn't, to me, look like they're setting up for either of those. It kind of just looks like they're setting up for a double window push, which is such a rough kind of push to do. You still need dorms window presence. You still need rotates cut off. You still need possibly even white stairs presence just to cut off those rotates. So it doesn't look like EG really even knows what kind of push they want to do, what kind of plant they want to do on this side. Alrighty. Now, of course, Team Empire swapped one thing up, or rather than one thing, several things up. They decide, okay, we're going to run a mute. We're going to run an Ella for frags because Kazek is obviously feeling like he's not got his aim on point. Something's wrong with what he's doing and the way that he's doing it. And they also have the castle, etc. This is purely because with the downstairs hold, easy to run a mute. Easy to run a castle, although not always preferred by a lot of teams to run castle downstairs. Actually preferable to bring castle upstairs rather than downstairs. The mute's not a shocker. The smoke's not a shocker either. You need an ADS down there, of course, especially if you're going to sit in those tight spots. You don't want to get easily naded from hatches or whatnot. And then the Ella is just an easy fragging operator. Now, you can see EG setting up for a tower take. They want to take meeting because they're doing a meeting hold. They're doing a pretty deep roam down into bedroom and whatnot. So they take tower control pretty damn quickly. And they make sure that they can try and get attic control. Now, all Joystick needs to do is sit here for a little bit. He's not getting pressured from his backside there. He actually has like 1 or 2 sets of ADSs with him as well. Because when you're, a sledge hit the wall, he's got 2 ADSs there. He's going to feel very safe. He's not going to get naded. So realistically, he doesn't really even have to peek. Now, because he's not getting any backside pressure, he's really safe there. For some reason, he decides to sort of jump out of that spot. It wasn't really an unsafe spot. He did have his ADSs there. So he was doing his job again of wasting a heck of a lot of time. And you can see all that's happening is more and more time denial. EG really didn't even have to do anything with them. Realistically, they could have had NVK or someone just lay there, lay down here, hold the line of sight all the way down to attic, and then if anyone crossed or if anyone tried to come attic to look down onto meeting, then NVK was there. That's called holding the rotate, holding the flank, whatever it is that you want to call it. He could have gone all the way down wide stairs around, gone down the front of the hatch. Who cares? Because at this point, they're doing a back push. And no one cares about anyone coming down the back stairs if you're doing a back push. Because by that time, you've got someone all the way down in Harry Potter or whatever holding the hallway. Then you've got other people holding bookshelf and stuff like that. Or shelf, I should say. So even if people come down all the way from the back, all the way from that side of the south side of the map, you don't care because MVK did his job and didn't let anyone come to meeting to look into the hatches down on them. That's what the job should be. No need to overcomplicate it. It's not complicated. Once defenders are stuck over this side of the map where bedroom is, where dorms are, where the double window is, where the small tower is, when people are stuck over there, they literally only have 2 options. They can only go down white stairs around and brings them into lobby, or they can come upstairs through attic, the rotate that they've made. There is no other option. And if there is one person watching the one option that gives them access to meeting, of course you could have MVK watching from the hatch, you could have him watching with a drone over on the bedroom, whatever it is, then to me it seems simplified. No matter how many people are roaming over in bedroom, cut off their rotate, use 2 people if you have to, and then go down to site and focus on the objective. They even have meeting control at this point. They've opened up. They've got the meeting control. Scythe is actually still playing in meeting. That was a really great shot there from Canadian to save Gio's life. And now, that's what I was talking about. Now the roamers have to rotate back because they're scared. They're pushing side. They need to get back to side. MVK picks up joystick. There we go. All he had to do was hold the line of sight. And this is the rough thing about being a roamer, is that Kazeka is stuck on one side of the map, the side of the map of which the execute is not happening on. So that is why you just leave them there. You didn't have to deal with them because that's not the push that you're doing. That's not the push you have to deal with. These jiggle peats coming out from Scythe are hilarious to me on the castle, but in the end, the plant does go down, but there's no way for for Team Empire to stop it because the smokes aren't quick enough. You can see here, the smokes didn't come out quick enough. The plant was able to go down and in. Shepard's the only one here with Scyther being able to hold down long. So their third player is off site. Either he has to do some nutty thing, which he does. He tries to push into meeting, gets 1 kill. But there's really not much you can do after that when you've only got 3 players and they've got 4 to be able to hold this diffuser down. Shepard waits for the call. Waits for Karzeka. He gets taken out and now they realize, all right, we have to push up. If we don't push up, it's not going to be good. And that's too easy then for EG to hold. Now, that could have gone really badly for EG had they focused any longer on the roamers. Because it just wasn't necessary. You don't need to worry about roamers who have actually isolated themselves on one side of the map they didn't need to. These replays were super cool as well. It gave us perspectives of people that we didn't get during the live game. Now, of course, Team Empire get to try again downstairs. And this time they bring a Kaid. And it's not usually like Team Empire to deviate from their usual setup. But you can see that that one slight change onto the Kaid is something that they thought would assist them. You can see that Joystick wants to play the exact same area with his double ADS setup. Meeting hold with Dan on the Kaid. And simply, the reason they bring the Kaid, super simple. This got opened up last time. This was something they must have felt was their Achilles heel to being able to hold meeting properly. They figured, okay, they're only going to bring a thermite. They can't get everything that they need to get. You know, they're going to get obviously down in blue. They can't get this as well. They can't also go up if, and I am unsure if they reinforce the top attic as well, but they can't get everything with the thermite or the exothermic that they need. So they thought, right, let's bring Kaid. I'm going to Kaid the stage wall. And we should be in here a heck of a lot safer than we were last round. Good adaptation. Don't know who called it, but moving Dan onto it was a smart idea. Getting rid of the mute that they felt they didn't need, because quite frankly, a mute is really helpful downstairs for a turtle hold. But when you're doing a meeting hold, the mute's only going to be helpful if like you've got certain walls reinforced with that attached. It's integral for drones not to get in certain areas. I mean, a super roam setup with a mute is not always going to be as helpful as it is with a turtle hold. Canadian self-droning Ash. Pretty funny to me. The fact that someone else isn't hot droning him. Now, again, focusing on the roamers. Everyone's self-droning themselves. So a lot of time being wasted by EG here to try and work out where these roamers are, how they're going to hit them, etc, etc. Joystick takes out MVK. Guess what? No one can refrag MVK because they're all focused on their own solo pushes with their own drones. Gio knows that there's someone over that side of the room somewhere. Doesn't connect at all with anyone. And mind you, it's getting extremely close and you can see there. Joystick plays in attic. He knows someone's up there. Easy kill. Now at this point, Gio's just challenging blindly. He's doing his best to try and get people, but it doesn't do anything. Now that knife, and I'll see if I can try and... And that was down in kitchen by Scyther, or meeting, I believe. Solo push, again, cannot get refragged because no one's in a position, no one pushed with him, no one tries to get a crossfire with him. Solo drone push with an Ash. Go figure. Now you've had Geo spend, I'm going to say, well over 60 seconds blindly shooting from dorms window into dorms where 2 people are playing. And those 2 people in dorms are laughing because they're just there to waste their time. And they've fallen into that trap of trying to take a part of the map that is not integral to their push. At the end of the day, this entire side of this map, from pretty much here onwards, is not important. Once you're in the northeast side or the north side of the map, it becomes negligible. It doesn't matter anymore. Oregon's one of those maps where you can section really, really well. And now Geo's realizing this. He knows, okay, I need to start working on the execute of some kind. Young finally drones in, checks Harry Potter, checks everything. The default castles are up still. Geo's still alive, thank goodness, so they still have the sledge to get rid of those. Necrox is always the guy that's holding sort of the flanks and whatnot. He's sort of doing a heck of a lot of solo things. And look at this. They decide to burst in, which, after the way that their other teammates played, okay, not surprising, but they burst in. Young takes the first kill. And because they're together, they now have a much greater chance. Geo takes another. Necrox thinks, okay, perfect. This is my opportunity. We now have sight. Necrox takes one. And now the plan could go down. And this is the sign of a beautiful few, I'm going to call it coordinated players who have now read upon each other. Necrox read the situation, went, no worries, I'm going to pinch downstairs with you. We now have side control. They have to come back to us. I'm going to hold the stairs. Young's going, okay, I'm going to get the plant down. Geo's going, no problems. I'm going to hold to make sure that no one comes through either connector. Necrox gets one, and it's just Karzeka to try and have the retake. And at that point, I mean, you're pretty certain that it's going to be way too difficult for you to take. Hatch is open, rotates up to the hatch, easy round. Again, should not have been as easy for EG as that looked. Because I tell you what, that was banked off kills only. A lot of these rounds banked off pure kills. No real strategy, no real intent, no real execution plan, no real roam clearing. Just out of the fact that they went, all right, we're going to burst onto site because we lost a couple of guys and we're going to do our best. Unfortunate for EG because on the previous map, they looked like they'd stratted everything. On this map, it looked like their attacks, they didn't know where they wanted to attack. They didn't know who was meant to be droning who. It shouldn't be working. But that's the skill of these players, is that they're able to go, all right, we now just have to switch on the kill switch and we just go for those kills and we try and get this plant down. And they were very lucky it was working for them. Especially when you're on attack on Oregon. It can go either way on a map like Oregon. You can either have the best attacking half or you can have the worst attacking half. And this generally happens to both teams on a match of Oregon. Of course, the timeout was warranted. That gets taken. The only one that unfortunately they're able to get. And they get to go back upstairs. Now, another alteration comes out. They decide, okay, we're going to bring the Valkyrie. Now, the reason a team might then decide to start bringing a Valkyrie, instead of the Echo, is purely because if Empire was smart enough to realize that then they don't really need to be prepared to deny the plant because EG aren't really there quick enough for the plant to even be a thing. They're actually going for frags a lot of the time. So why not take someone you can frag with and collect intel with? Pick something you're more comfortable moving around with, having your freer style with. You get a C4 as well. So it's really one of those things that I think was a smart decision by Empire because it was not necessary that they have the IQ, that they have the the echo, I should say, because it wasn't really helpful for them. A sloppy Claymore comes out again, one that's already been shot once before. But alas, throw it down anyway. Now, of course, IQ coming out, going to be great for them to be able to find their Valkyrie cams. He gets a few Legion mines as well, which is perfect, especially on white stairs. It's going to be so hard to push up there. So by getting rid of those early, they don't have to worry about that later, especially his teammates. Geo is moved on to the Ash instead of Canadian, and then Canadian goes on the Sledge. Then NVK goes on to the Nomad. Young's always their main support. He's a great support player, really good in clutch situations, great. For me, it's worrisome that EG is having a consistent operator switch because they know which side it should be now. And instead, they're switching it up. They're trying to change everything again and again. Even it looks like roles are changing it very slightly. So for me, it does look like they're banking on the fact because EG are really, really tactically, or I should say fragging ability-wise, they're really great. They have the ability to frag out. They have the ability to grenade really, really freaking well. But unfortunately for them, it looks inconsistent. It doesn't look planned. Their attacks don't look planned at all. And for a team like Empire, that's the easiest team to prepare for. So it doesn't look like EG. And you can see how spread out they are. Nexrox hitting the south. Geo hitting the west still. Not having taken kitchen control yet. And it's almost half of the round. And the Canadian only finally open up Dorm's windows to try and get a southwesterly down angle pick. A bit of a shame that the cam out here is still up. Miss C4 is also such a shame, but that should prompt them to the fact that there should be a Valk cam somewhere out there. Now at this point, I'll stress again. Geo is pressuring small tower. He was pressuring bathroom. He was pressuring a heck of a lot of those areas around the south, the southwest, the west, but then sort of just left it and then repelled up near double window. Also have Canadian, who's repelling up on Dorm's windows. Young, who's even further away, usually droning, mind you, so doing his support job well. And there's a bunch of EG players sporadically dotted around the map in really odd places that shows me that there's no real execution plan. Nothing's really showing me that they're preparing for an execution, and I wouldn't even know where to say that they're preparing. I mean, you can see the diffusers placed near Dorm's windows. You can see Canadian challenging it. So if anything, I guess that's where they want to go for the execute. That Necrox is a great player. I do just want to commend EG for having one of the most intuitive players in Siege at the moment. Is because he is so intuitive. He would be like one of the best solo queuers in ranked. You know what I mean? Like he'd be one of those guys that you could just throw into any team and he could fit and understand what he needed to do. Very, very intuitive. He had already read into the fact that Joystick had done that once before, and quite frankly, he does that almost every Oregon game. And so he laid there and waited. Such a worthy counter adaptation. Canadian gets a really good nade. And then, of course, all that Empire need to do is try and wait out to see which way they want to plan. Because Empire is probably extremely confused right now. They don't actually know where EG prefers to plan, because it's kind of been a wishy-washy mess of, oh, they go double window, oh, they go white stairs, oh, they repel on dorms. I don't really know what's going on. Ash being at the window. And of course, Dan misses his shots, unfortunately, way too much. And it goes down to a 2v5. Now, all of these dwindling numbers have been out of picks. Just pure picks. None of them have pinched people. None of the EG players have done anything that has been during an execution or during a pinch push or during a hot drawing. This has just been because of the fact that there are two teams here who I guess peak quite aggressively, or at least their flex and frag players do. And as a result, they took their 1v1s and they lost because EG just has better shots. So nothing extraordinary out of EG. Just the fact that they've waited for their picks and they've been able to get it. The plant starts going down from Young. He's pretty covered at the moment. Karzek is trying to play his verticality, uses his C4, but gets nothing out of it. And Shepard's kind of left alone there to just try and battle way too many people. MVK in attic, of course. And now Karzaka again left to try and clutch this up. Mind you, the fact that he's always the last one alive is actually his fault. Because he is meant to be the roamer. He is meant to be the time delayer. He is meant to be the guy that's out there either getting frags or delaying time or die trying. And the fact that he is here, I guess, clutching almost every round shows he hasn't really made a dent really in much. So he's not really making a dent. He's not doing what his role is set to do. I mean, when you're in this kind of situation, you're kind of just hoping for the best. You're just hoping to get a couple of frags, get out there and pull out some miracle. If you're EG, I can't stress this enough. If you're EG and you're getting rounds based off just picks, mind you, I do want to stress Young, great support player, really high quality, high class. Him and Necrox being probably some of the best players on EG role-wise, really knowing exactly what their role needs them to do. Young always does his very best to try and get the plant down. You can always see him, as soon as he gets in, he's quick, he's efficient, and he's getting the diffuser down. But the rest of his team looks disjointed in regards to Young's goals of trying to get the plant down. Unfortunately, it's every other player sort of waiting to try and find a pick to get a pick somewhere when they could just overwhelm the site, try and get the plant down and focus on stopping the retake. At this point, Empire is feeling the absolute strain because you're on your last defensive round and you're hoping that you pull out one of those rounds and that your attack is freaking brilliant, of which a lot of the time the attack can be your worst side. It really can. So at this point, if you're Empire, you're panicking. They did admit last during Six Invitational that that a lot of them are quite nervous being at LANs and being on stage and everything like that. So it's also Dan's first LAN, big LAN like this. He's under pressure as well because he needs to perform, because he needs to prove himself, having just taken over Shock's position. So there's a lot of those things going through these players' mind, and there's so many rounds down in a map that should have been theirs in their head at this point in time. The drones coming out from EG again. And I do want to point out is that their adaptation, so once they realized that EG does a tower take, was to reinforce both of these attic walls and the stage walls down here. And then if you throw a Kaid here, it zaps both these walls and these walls. So you get 4 walls for the price of 1 claw, which is super duper. It's pretty obvious, of course, but it's their adaptation, and I think it works. It requires a Thatcher. Of course, I mean, I did think it wasn't the most brilliant adaptation that Team Empire could have come up with, because MVK seemed to have been bringing the Thatcher every round, so it wasn't like a surprise that they would be able to thatch that. Then, of course, the Kaid gets thatched off the wall, and that gives Young the opportunity to open it all the way up. Now, I believe what happens is that Dan throws another one after the first one gets thatched, or thatched, I should say, if I'm using my full English correctly. It gets EMP'd, and he throws another one, forcing another EMP to be thrown on the wall. And maybe the plan through that is to just get rid of as much utility as possible. Maybe that's Team Empire's plan, is to say, well, we know it's gonna get EMP'd, but we like the fact that it takes 2 whole EMPs, so we're gonna use it. And again, same position, 2 ADSs, very, very likely sitting there. And Gio's very aware that that's where where Joystick is playing. Now, this whole time, I am severely worried by the fact that EG know very well that Empire are extremely predictable, and there's been however many rounds that they've played upstairs where you've had Joystick sit in this one little spot with 2 to 3 ADSs, and you're telling me no one in EG thinks, if I go to the bedroom balcony and I open the door, he's fucked. Free kill. Instead, EG goes, no need to crossfire here. Let's just hope he peeks and we take the pick. Literally playing in the middle of a hallway, and he is not getting crossfired. Dan takes out Gio, beautiful shot onto his head, and MVK has to deal with 2 angles. So they've opened up both stage and attic. And they've asked politely for, 1 or 2 people to hold it. 1 person per angle to hold it. Whilst Necrox is over doing his little flex thing that he does every single round, where he just seems to be floating on another side of the map, getting kills somehow. And then Dan peeks onto stage again, gets MVK, and he gets 2. Why? Because EG didn't know where they wanted to push. They didn't know. They didn't zone anywhere. They opened up these walls, both top and bottom, and they didn't crossfire Joystick to get him out of his position, and they let Dan play on the side of stage over here, who was able to get 2 kills. And then, of course, all it needed was for them to go, all right, we need to hold the attic line of sight. We need to also push this stage bit. All we need to do is drone out where Dan is. We could have 1 person. I should really be using my pencil. We'd have 1 person holding the line of sight from the stairs, 1 person going around to the meeting door and holding from there, and then a drone coming in somewhere trying to isolate exactly where Dan is, and they can push through, pinch, refrag, whatever it is that they need to do. There's so many members of EG alone or holding multiple angles when that should not be put on 1 player to hold multiple angles. And again, that's a 3K. Literally no refrags coming out, barely ever. And the only refrag that was coming out there was from Canadian, who, for some odd freaking reason, is playing a Glaz by himself down in blue. I don't even understand why the Glaz is not up on tower stairs helping clear meeting. And if you didn't want to clear meeting, why did you open it all the F up? So now EG is pushed into a situation where they have to 2v pretty much 5 it, even though Dan's down. Joysticks get Necrox, and now it's just Canadian. He's able to get the person picking up Dan. So now he's got, a 1v3. And again, one thing I love about Empire is that they come across in the EU scene as a really aggressive team, but they're so calculated about it. Right now, Empire know it's a 1v3 and they don't need to peek. They also know they've got time on their side. So look at this. He knows, he's got the pistol, he waits for a few shots and then peeks. He doesn't just randomly decide to face check. He waits. Oh, I can hear him. He's got the PMM out. That's a beautiful time for me to peek. Done. And now finally Empire get their second round. Now, what I think happens in this particular moment, especially for Team Empire, is that they turn around and go, we're starting to realize that a lot of these EG players are by themselves or that they're not refragging. You know, Dan got the 3K from stage, which is such an open position. Joystick realizing that no one's pressuring behind him when he sits in armory hallway, bedroom hallway there. He can just stand there and dance around however he wants. So this is these clear mistakes from EG, even though they're winning a lot of these rounds, which they shouldn't have been. Empire's finally reading into the fact that, okay, we can do this if we play together a bit more, if we drop the nerves of some kind. Because when you play against a team for so long, and like we played against Empire for how many seasons now? 2 full seasons plus, majors, minors, etc. We know this team. I've watched VODs, so many VODs of this team. I could tell you things inside and out about them. And this is not how Team Empire plays. They're usually so much more fluent. They're usually so much more confident. You can see them doing that calculation consistently. But these rounds, you could tell the nerves were kicking in. You could tell they were choking. You could tell everything inside of them was terrified because they lost the first map especially, and that's a lot of stress. So right now in their head, they either have to switch on and start adapting to the mistakes of EG, because they are quite big mistakes from EG, or they lose this map and they lose. Now that the halves switch, Empire goes on to attack. It gives them a time to reset themselves. And it gives EG the opportunity to feel pretty confident going into their defensive half because they've got a couple of rounds up. The operator, choices between both teams, I don't think it's anything crazy whatsoever. The sledge was a bit of a funky one for me. I didn't think it was that necessary. The dock, purely for the ACOG, clearly. Echo for the plant denial, then those usual mutes, smokes, etc. That shield in the hallway as well, I really like that one. That early aggression there from Necrox, I really liked. Karzek is so lucky after he decided to re-peek that pixel angle that he didn't get his head completely blown off. So for me, that was so silly. Like, if you're seeing traces or you're getting bullet traces coming close to you, how about you go somewhere else rather than re-peek it? Now, because Team Empire always do a tower take, they've already got preset drones up in there. Joystick's confident the top tower is clear. He makes his way in there. And he's not usually the Nomad player either, so. He usually plays, the Capitero, the Jackal, the Ash. And this time he gets to play his Nomad. And this is efficiency of zoning. So Empire's a team that knows how to zone because they dry run it. I don't know how much they dry run it because they do the same pushes, the same strats every game. But they must do it a heck of a lot. This must be imprinted in their brain like a blueprint. So these guys know how to take this. They know how to do a tower take. And look at that. No pressure. Easy take. Addict taken. Nomads coming out. And it's not even... like, it's barely just over a minute in the round. Barely. And now they have all the control that they need. But EG is doing a blue hold, a blue and a Harry Potter hold. And that is a big thorn in the side of Team Empire because you can feel confident taking tower all you want, but if you can't take bottom blue, you can't take your blue wall, you can't take your bunker entrance or anything like that, you can't take any of that control, you pretty much have no control. So you can have tower control you want, but you don't really have control anywhere near the execution. At this point, all the IQ can do is sort of try and wallbang some shots. Young's sitting there with a shotgun. He's got some smokes on him, which he's willing to die with. Or use and die trying. And they do the smart thing and they go, you know what, okay. You want to play Harry Potter, you want to do this? And you've already opened up all the hatches for me. I'm going to use my X-Kairos and I'm going to open up a line of sight that might allow me to lay down on the hatch and get some kills. They open it up and, well, he's dead. It's such a simple adaptation, you know, mid-round adaptation to go, well, someone's playing in a spot I can't get to. My teammate, my IQ, can't get to them either because there's a shotgun waiting around the corner. Okay, I will Habana it open. I'll open a line of sight of some kind and I'll get the kill. It's so simple, but so smart all at once. Now, Young is pressured in bunker and he's already pretty freaking lit. So he goes, okay, I need to get out of there. Unfortunately, for him, he has like 3 different crossfires aiming at him at that one particular time. This entire time, Kazek is holding the front flank. Joystick's holding back tower stairs. You've got Scyther who's in bunker. Got a couple of people on the hatch. I mean, there's so many angles being held together at the same time by Empire. Their attacks are already looking triple as smooth as EG. And they're doing it so time efficient. MVK doing his absolute best with his intel collection, leaving a drone there for his 2 dead teammates. Scyther trying to collect info on where exactly the yokais are. And all EG can really do now is try and hold angles. The shield is a perfect one. We'll go back to that to try and highlight that. Because EG, in their map on Bank, were one of the first teams to ever sort of use that shield near elevator properly, you know, at a high level like that. So you can tell that they've obviously thought about how they can manipulate shields to get better angles, to cover, etc. And that shield's in a great place. But at the moment, it can't really be used because they are now forced back. At current, with 20 seconds left, EG is doing a perfect job. They know they don't have to overpeak. They just have to pressure as best they can. They've still got 1 yokai drone, but it's not really in a good position to deny the plant. And then, of course, the diffuser starts to go down in default plant spot. Alas, the IQ's up. All players of Team Empire are up. If you think you're getting a very loud yokai even anywhere near the diffuser planter, then you're crazy. And they've got nothing to deny this. So at the moment, the panic comes out. MVK takes 1 pick, which is good. Necrox takes a beautiful hit onto the Habana there. But what happened was people on EG got impatient. Geo pushed up, but he should have waited. Why? Because the dock on the stairs could have gone upstairs and tried to hit one of the hatches, of which Scyther was standing underneath. Corner hatch, and that's when they could have pushed in and overwhelmed them. They needed to do it together. They needed to be coordinated for the retake because it's very possible they can do it. And this is what MVK is doing at the moment. He's waiting. He's being patient. He has time. Now, of course, Team Empire have been given the opportunity to push back. They went, okay, we don't want to challenge this anymore. We're losing way too many bodies. Scythe is able to get 1. Then he also flicks down onto MVK and a beautiful set of shots there. That came down to gun skill. He shouldn't have won both of those. And now Empire are feeling a little bit better, but after losing a couple of people at the end there, they're probably still feeling extremely shaky because it wasn't a very confident round win. I think for Young, the best thing he could have done there, even though the Habana hole was open, was try and take Scyther out at the entrance of blue with his shotgun, because at least he would have taken a pick. I don't think if any other player who was playing in there had have really critically thought about it, that they could have been able to run and expect that no one was at the bottom of tower watching that line of sight. Like, that's the first thing in my mind. I'd be like, you know what? Someone's watching the hatch. I bet you someone's watching bottom tower, and someone's trying to push me in the entrance of bunker. So what I need to do in my head is probably try and take one before I die. So that's exactly what he should have tried to have done with the shotgun, at least gone out fighting Scyther, maybe taking him out with the shotgun. But instead he just tries to run through way too many angles and gets knocked out as a result. Now, EG gets to go upstairs, or rather gets to go upstairs, decides to go upstairs, feeling that they probably have a better chance. And all of the usual reinforcements, attic, rotation, etc., is opened up. And the lineups for both teams, nothing crazy. I think maybe the Rook is the only one that's a little bit out of the ordinary. And you can see Kazeka being extremely careful, pre-firing all of the peak spots. I mean, for me, you can never be too careful. So it's good to see that he takes those seriously. Again, they do a tower take, because that's been almost robotically bred into them, is that that's what you do. You do a tower take when you want to try and get map control in Oregon. And especially a lot of the time you want to try and take attic control as well. Now they try and... That's something I was a little bit concerned about. And we go back to the fact that they try and Habana a soft wall. Now, super confusing because Kazeka is Sledge. So maybe out of the fact that they've been so robotically trained into, you do this, you put your utility here, you go here, you do that, and that's the plan. That they just didn't deviate from the plan just ever so slightly to bring the Sledge over, or a breaching charge, or something. Instead, they use these Habana charges on the soft wall, which it seems like a bit of a rookie mistake to me. So now they get these really cute peak holes through the soft wall there. And it actually was Dan who decided to do it. I don't know if that was his decision or not, but that's not to downplay him as a player whatsoever. A few drones coming out from Empire to ascertain where all the EG players are. But at the moment, EG haven't overextended themselves too much. They haven't been crazy. They haven't tried to do anything overly solo, overly individualistic. Now, this is why a team like Empire can be scary, because they've got great gun skill, but they're very heavy intel collectors. They use so many drones every round. MVK takes out Joystick, and he also gets to take out another one of Kazeka. And this is because you saw before that the Rook opened the window. So of course he was able to run out and just see everything. Only thing Empire had planned for was the attic peek. By opening up attic, having Dan watch it, that way no one could peek from the little attic window. What they didn't prepare for was this run out by the beautiful MVK. That is a critical error. And he gets a big 3K, screams his heart out, let's go. He does get refragged, of course, but I mean, when you take 3 for 1, who cares? Dan starts to panic, as I would if I was Dan as well, and he crawls on into attic and tries to take a pick. Alas, Canadian also panics, tries to get out of there rather than taking the gunfight. It's a little bit too late for that. And now Scyther, with 50 seconds left, tries to take a pick, gets a beautiful one, and then goes. Absolutely no hesitation in mind there. So now he is in. He has Dorm's control, and he has Dan also holding the line of sight down Armory Hallway. Now Scyther has the diffuser. Mind you, he is also IQ, so he can check to see if there's any Valkyrie cams watching him in dorms so that he can go for the plant. And all Dan needs to do right now is hold this line of sight so that no one goes to the rotate over there or the door to try and stop him from planting. Yes, Valkyrie can go underneath with the C4 and throw it up. But I mean, if you don't know where he's planting, you could very well miss. Instead, Scyther decides to challenge. That was the critical mistake of them being able to come back on this round. And of course, Empire cannot come back from that because they made a critical error of going for kills and going for frags rather than going for the execute, which they should have done. They had Dan in the perfect line of sight to hold the rotates. He could hold both with that angle. So now EG gets to go downstairs and they're edging that much closer to being able to take this entire match. They're getting excited. A few of them are smiling. A few of them are getting really pumped up in their comms. You can see that they're really hyping the fact that they're that close, that they're that close to winning this match 2-0. Smart for them that they actually decide that they're going to do a pretty typical, like the same hold that they did, I believe it was 2 rounds earlier, where they just simply hold as much as Blue and Harry Potter as possible. Mostly a turtle hold. We call that pretty well a turtle hold, even though they're extending the side a little bit. And they do have an attic rotate as well. But I believe that was for a late flank. Young takes our Scyther in a very aggressive fashion. This is what I was talking about the other round when he was sitting here and he died. And he shouldn't have. And he should have peeked Scyther with the shotgun. He does it with the SMG, but he gets the pick anyway. His job there is to make sure no one comes in, and he's done it. And if I'm Team Empire, and I'm panicking now. The IQ's gone, the Yokais are going to be wherever the frick they want. You don't have the presence or the side swipe coming in from Blue anymore. It's insane to me how you would have Scyther by himself trying to push up on this and not expect Young to know that that's going to be the exact same push. So you can absolutely tell that Young knows that Scyther is going to be standing there holding a line of sight. You can already see that some of this is being breached, and he has both a shotgun and an SMG. And all he needs to do is wide peek around here and take off Scyther, who's by himself, and no one can refrag him. There is no possibility to refrag the individual standing here. And that pick that Young gets already starts off an entire domino effect for EG for this round. So now for Empire, they're thinking to themselves, okay, how do we regain control of this situation? You can see a lot of them are still doing the default push, the default utility usage that they're used to doing. The Nomad's coming out so that no one can rotate either through attic or meeting double door. And now all the players are going, okay, cool, easy. We just open this wall like we did last time, except little did they know that there was actually a mute on that wall. And I actually believe it got destroyed as well. So they actually, EG decided they would counter-adapt to their counter-adaptation, which is super deep, but they decided to put a mute on that wall that time instead. And now Team Empire is panicking. Because they now can't have the blue control that they need or they want to do the push that they usually do. The Thatcher comes out and now they should be able to Habana that wall into blue. But Young's still playing in bunker. So Joystick's taken up the position that Scyther had. But he's going up against, he's got his AK against the shotgun realistically, or an SMG. Now, unfortunate for Young, I don't think he really even knows that Joystick is there. Beautiful timing from Canadian. Young then decides, okay, Canadian's got stairs, no problems. I'm going to deal with the bunker player, gets Joystick. And suddenly, Empire are in another clutch situation. And all they can really do in this position is just try and go for frags. Because you've really got nothing else left. Shepard gets down, that brings him down to 20 HP. Young just needs to sit in bunker really comfortably. And now they've decided, okay, we need to rotate, we need to do something else here. But when you're at this kind of time disadvantage, there's no real time to be able to do a split push. So he decides, okay, I'm going to drop down with him. That's one. Of course, Young doesn't realize that someone else is going to drop down there. Shepard does his absolute best. Tries to get the plant down as well. But they've got a yokai drone. Because Scyther on the IQ is the first to die. And that's too easy for EG. What went wrong? All Empire needed to do to crumble was lose their bunker pressure. Almost as if to me, because they've been doing the same strats for so long, with very little adaptation here and there, that unfortunately Empire, when they lose a key part of their push, like Scyther for example, with the bunker pressure, or they have people holding an area that they're used to getting very easily, they crumble very quickly. And so that's what happened to Empire there. Scyther got taken out so early by Young. Young then still had bunker control. So now Empire's like, okay, all right, we'll try and open up the line of sight onto the blue hallway. Oh, they muted it. Okay, so now we need the Thatcher to come over and open it. And all this time, they're wasting so much time that they usually don't waste, and they start to panic. And EG, all they have to do is just do the same thing they did with tiny little adaptations. A mute there, Young playing more aggressive in bunker, whatever it might be. It's working for them. And now EG are looking really good. They started off the map looking sloppy and whatnot on their attack, but on their defense, they look so much more coordinated. They look like they knew what they were doing and how they wanted to hold it. You can see Gotcha saying one more to all of them. That's heartbreaking to see, because I'm a big Gotcha fan. That is hard. That is actually hard to see him. To have seen him say that. Actually, you know, one more, boys, one more. And for what happens next, you know, top 10 anime betrayals to occur, which is absolutely horrific for these guys because so close. Big shame. Beautiful trophy, which it actually was. It was an absolute beautiful trophy. Now, if you're EG in this time, you're saying to yourself, easy. We could lose the next 2 rounds. We just got to win 1 more out of those next 3 rounds, and we are done, boys. We walk away with this trophy. We 2-0 them. We become, you know, one of the world's best. Now, EG decide to do a tower hold, which is a very hard site to hold, but actually has a really high defensive win rate. My team especially, I think, holds one of the largest win rates on tower. So it's really, if you have the basic strats for it, you can oftentimes do really well with it. Trouble is, this is Empire's map. And I promise you, they know how to push tower. Because it doesn't matter what side it is, they push tower. So I promise you, if there's a site that I probably wouldn't take Empire to, it's tower. So of course, Canadian's behind a shield. He's got his ADSs, which have all been cooked. And look at that. Young, beautiful support player, creeps on over to Karzeka, takes him out. But a beautiful refrag from Shepard as well. Canadian playing super passive aggressive, which is really good for this spot here. I really like that shield placement. It's very hard to displace. Necrox gets nomaded, but doesn't reap any kind of disadvantage for trying to run out. So Joystick puts another one. And Geo's just sitting there waiting to see whether or not anyone repels up on the west side of tower. A couple of impacts, couple of concussions, but there. I'm going to point that out again. Let's see where this starts to fall completely downhill for EG. All right, let's just there. He was concussed. His teammates would have known also that no one was rappelling on the south. Geo would have known from dorm windows that no one was rappelling on the west. So there was only one person pressuring Canadian. And that person couldn't shoot him because there was a shield there. Okay, here's the mistake. He freaking stood up. Literally, that was the only mistake. Was that he decided to challenge concussed someone like Joystick. Ta-da! There begins the downfall of EG. He gets taken out, and in Joystick's mind, he goes, sweet! And everyone else starts to freak out because, oh shit, we've lost top tower. Because we just put Canadian there with a couple of ADSs, that's it. NVK tries to challenge the person holding out outside, that's fine. Geo's looking for picks, but of course Team Empire know tower better than anyone else and they don't repel on the south. Necrox tries to jump out. As he jumps out, of course, someone's watching him from the other window, gets downed. And now it's just panic for Geo and MVK. Why? Because they have top tower control. Imagine trying to challenge this angle. Look at this. Scyther takes out MVK. A wild C4 comes out. Collects one. But I promise you, these stairs are the most tumultuous stairs to ever come up on if someone has top tower control. A Nomad charge gives away his position, and he gets taken out. Now, for EG, I feel like the biggest mistake that happened that round was Canadian peeking. Because if his teammates had to let him know that he was only getting pressured from one window, if I was Canadian, you just sit there. He literally wasted both impacts and couldn't even get the shield. No one cooked the ADSs for Joystick. No one cooked the ADSs. So he got both of his impacts knocked out by ADSs. All he had left was concussions. And then all of a sudden, he decides to peek even though he's still got his shield up. That's horrific for Canadian because his team should have let him know that there was only one side of the map that he needed to focus on, and he was fully covered. So super unfortunate, because once top tower control is overtaken on a map on the site tower, then you pretty well expect to lose that one. And this is where it started to get absolutely top 10 anime betrayals for EG. So you can see this. Didn't need to stand up. No way he was going to get pushed out of there anytime soon. Timeout comes out. Of course. And now EG get to go upstairs. Still on match point. Someone in my chat just asked me if one defender and a couple of ADSs is enough for top tower. Generally, if you have too many people top tower, you lose bodies way too quickly, because a lot of teams will push multiple people on multiple windows. That's why you saw Geo playing over in dorms, because you can lay down there with like a crack in the window and you can see if anyone's rappelling on the west side of tower and pretty much get a free kill. So that's why a lot of people like to clear bedroom and stuff first and everything, but Empire didn't seem too concerned with that. They just did a south tower rappel and had people standing outside on the highway between Armory and tower. So yes and no. This time EG brings an alibi, which is actually going to cover the dorm windows, which is pretty, I mean, it's not super great, because obviously you can just shoot the alibi by rappelling upside down, but you need to know that it's there first, and it might give a ping and someone from attic might be able to take a quick peek or something like that. So maybe that's why EG thought, you know what, let's play this alibi, let's do that. For yet another round, Joystick makes his way to the top of the tower, does the exact same thing I think he's done 28,000 times before on this particular map, and makes his way in and is pretty confident that it's all clear. Canadian, however, is running around left, right, and center. So is Geo. They pretty much just want to try and hold as much of the map as possible, and their roaming style shows that. Again, unfortunately, Dan decides to use a hard breach destruction on a soft breach wall, but this time no one shoots it, so it's okay. And now that Joystick has tower control, he makes his way to rappel. Necrox does a beautiful peek onto Karzeka there, who's trying to hold the angle, but doesn't quite see him. It's good to see that Joystick nomaded the run out that they got run out by MVK last time. And then the jump out comes out, and it's a beautiful 2K for Necrox. Dan takes out MVK, which is a good pick onto the Jaeger, but suddenly we've got a numbers game here. And all EG needs to do is try and keep numbers. Now, the kill there, or the refrag I should say, by Cypher onto Necrox is good, but then Geo takes out Dan. And suddenly, if you're Team Empire, this is a scary prospect, because a 2v3, when you've still got a C4, you've still got a couple of really highly skilled players on the side of EG, very likely some kind of Valkyrie cam or something somewhere that's going to know exactly where you're pushing from. But they do have just over half the round, so they've got a heck of a lot of time to still work this out. So you can see Shepard goes, okay, wait, I'm going to drone. I'm going to work out where these players are, and we're going to start to isolate them. Geo's still downstairs with the C4. Good. great fact that he knows that as a vertical type of player that Valkyrie should be on a map like this, especially with the C4, that he stays under there. All players knowing full well that these two players at least are both at double window. Now, if you're EG, the best thing for you to do, because when you jump into double window, you essentially have to think about 3 angles. You got to think about the bedroom, hallway / armory. You got to think about the rotate / dorms door. And you got to think about white stairs. So there's a lot of areas you've got to look. And generally, if you have one person on each of those areas just holding angles, it's impossible to flick to all of them. So EG doing the right thing, not peeking, not playing aggressive, not doing anything crazy. Empire hoping for some kind of miracle pick of some kind. Shepard's using his other drone to work out that Geo's underneath. Geo, in that moment, I feel made a critical error. He got droned, but his team should have had the intel enough to say, don't worry, Geo, stay underneath. We've got both of them on double window. He should have stayed there. Instead, he runs off. There's a Valkyrie cam on the inside at the top of double window, which would have been feeding intel to Geo and, of course, the rest of the defenders. And at this time, like, you can just see that Scyther's like wasting utility because he's just trying to do something. He's trying to bait some kind of response out of them. And EG's still doing the right thing. They're not peeking. They're holding angles. They're doing the right thing. Young almost loses his life. And then look at this. Look at this serious face on this man. The man who popped up out of the shield last round and lost the round for his team now makes another critical mistake. Young made a critical mistake by trying to wallbang and getting wallbanged back. But he stayed alive. Okay, fine. Now we have Canadian doing another critical mistake. Something that was so unnecessary. You do not need to peek. You can literally hear the vault. You can literally hear this vault from like 2 rooms away. Misses the shot. And now there's 30 seconds left. And they've wasted so much time. He now hears the bottom of white. Good. He now holds that and tells the rest of his teammates to hold double window. He stands up, decides to use his secondary. Okay. Has a better fire rate. Okay, I get it. Outgunned by Scyther, who, without skipping a beat, takes control of top white. It's now a 2v2, and you have 2 full health Team Empire players against 2 critically low EG players. Someone just asked me in my chat, if Canadian had got the pick from yellow bomb, from top white behind bomb, would it have still been a mistake? Yes. That is the worst excuse my players give me, is they go, yeah, but I got a kill with it, Jess. I don't care. I don't care if you make a move that should not have worked and you feel confident from it later. Because just because something works 1, 2, maybe max 3 times out of 10 doesn't mean we're not going to be pissed at you because you took a very, very bad statistical peak. Something that should not have gone your way and you take it, and just because it works that one time, it statistically should not have. So 110% of the time, you, in these kind of situations where you've got numbers, you don't take the risky peek because that's what Empire needs from you. They need you to take that risky peek, otherwise they're going to lose. Geo is in a funky spot, but he's in a good spot. He knows he needs to be, relatively hidden. He knows he needs to hold an angle. He knows what he needs to do. So, and someone does bring up the fact that where did his C4 go? Funny to me, but C4 gone. Both of these defensive players in good spots. But Geo, with 1 health and a dream, misses his shots. absolutely misses his shots, which is, you can't blame him because Scyther actually strafes much more than I would have expected him to either. I would have expected him to take the engagement, you know what I mean? Like take it on with him. Instead, he strafes and switches to his secondary, which took Geo off board. And now it's just Young with like, what, 10 health? And look at this, Empire fired up. And the Russian machine is absolutely cranking again. Now, you can see EG starting to panic a little bit. And the things that stress does to the mind and body is overwhelming. Dan's fired up. Mind you, if you watch the next map after this, you can tell how fired up Dan is because he plays out of his mind. And of course we get these beautiful replays. There was really, and having watched this round multiple times now, I do wonder if Geo could have just stayed in like bedroom hallway and hid behind corner. And then when they tried to run in, get the kill. But they were both critically low health, so maybe he thought that Young would die and they might be able to shut him out of dorms. Yeah. I'm so 50-50 on it. I'm so 50-50 because there's never 100% a right way to do a clutch situation or to be in the last 10 seconds and be overwhelmed. There really is there's really no way to know how to properly do that. Now they go back upstairs again. And this time they've got, several operators which are really going to assist them and hold inside. A lot of intel. They've got their yokai drones, they've got their Valkyrie, Team Empire running the same setup. And of course, again, you expect them to do a tower take. You expect them to do everything pretty monotonously as they did last time. And I feel like I'm having deja vu because that's exactly what Joystick does every time. Opens his window, throws a drone in, checks down, repels in. Kazeka looking to see whether or not anyone's peeking him. And then Scyther usually pressures double window / gives assistance for a dorms take. So it's a pretty methodical, typical kind of thing. What I love to see is all this barbed wire from EG. Love, 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 love. I can see so much barbed wire everywhere. So cool to see it. And the reason I say so cool to see it is because you got a team like Team Empire who are very swift with their movements. They're very confident. And if you could slow them down, or you can make them waste utility on barb, or you can do whatever, especially in a room where you're like, okay, like a lot of them pushed through here last time, let's just block it all the F up. And that's what they did. Some beautiful drones coming out from Empire as per usual. Their droning game is just brilliant. It really is. It's scary. A lot of teams bring mute to counter them. And unfortunately, you see that Team Empire are taking a little bit longer this time than they usually do. I like that they either put a Nomad now or they put a Claymore on that window that MVK ran out of that time he got a 3K. Little adaptations like that show that Empire are learning very quickly from their mistakes. And now they've hit the halfway mark. No one's taken health or damage, I should say. No one's sort of done too much, but they have attic control. Dan's very confident about his attic control. They now can start pressuring double window and dorms windows. Joystick takes his first pick, and that is on to NVK of Jaeger. Now, unfortunately, they're so worried about the bottom of meeting because it's not really covered, because what they fail to understand is that Dan can't hold attic and meeting at the same time. Unless he was to hover over the hatch and try and watch the end of attic, but it's too hard. It's too hard. So they go, you know what? We'll just like put a drone there or something. We just hope that Dan holds it. Hope that no one else rotates. And so many drones. I see 3 drones flying around. I can't stress it enough. Purely out of the fact that Team Empire is probably the complete opposite to Evil Geniuses in their drone usage is impressive enough. What also worries me is that you can see these vertical holes. These scream someone is playing below. And these are open because when people rappel in, you can see up from kitchen and you can shoot or whatever it is you want to do. And they can't get in. It's so difficult to get in if you're holding this from kitchen. It's like the meta way of holding these rappels in. So the fact that they're not sort of pressuring like Canadian and Geo below, super worrisome, because how do they expect to rappel in? The smoke's coming out, which is pretty good time because Empire are wasting a lot of the smoke babes and they've still got a lot of time left. Geo is trying to take as many picks as he can, and Karzeka gets downed. And Necrox takes 2. Scythe is able to trade out onto Young, but he was the Echo player. And then Shepard is able to then refrag onto Necrox. So Necrox actually did the best he could in that situation. He tried to take as many picks as he could. And then Geo from Small Tower, it's a flurry of reflags. The kills that come out in this moment are so insanely wild. You can't, if you were playing, you wouldn't have known what just happened. And the comms would be so fast. Dan, had he have not got the kill onto Canadian, they would have lost. No doubt in my mind they would have lost. Dan gets the kill onto Canadian, putting himself down to just over 25 HP and pretty much single-handedly wins him that round. And now it's just Geo. Geo comes back up onto site. Excellent decision. And now he just needs to wait. He still has a C4. Dan's below, believing that because it's the Valk, you know, he might be below waiting with the C4. Thatcher grenades come out. And of course, Dan just rushes up white whilst, I believe it was Shepard was at the window with his bullet traces confusing Geo, getting his attention elsewhere. On my team, we call it when you bait someone. So sometimes we'll shoot in a certain direction just to have a player, their opponent look a different way, and then we shoot them from another way. So that's what happened there, and Dan was able to take advantage of that. And suddenly, we go to OT. Someone in my chat just said, in my opinion, Gotcha does or did a really good job, but the team decided to throw everything away by doing individual mistakes. I have no doubt Gotcha's a great coach. He's also a great player, so he knows how the game is meant to be played. The trouble is that in some teams, no matter how much you prep players or how much influence from the outside it looks like you have on these players, when they get in a game and they do something else or they get under stress and you can't talk to them, you know, in official matches like online, I can talk to them in TeamSpeak. I can talk to my players whilst they're playing their online matches. But when you're at a LAN, you can have one timeout. That's the only time you get to talk to them. That is when critical mistakes start happening, because you're standing behind your team going, oh my freaking goodness, that is not the right decision. Or, oh my God, that is not what we discussed. Or, oh my God, and you can't say anything. Those are the hardest times for a coach. So it's a really hard situation as an analyst or a coach or whomever support staff you are for your team, knowing that you put in the work and knowing that it may very well not get used at that time. Now, e.g. feeling the pressure, they go back upstairs again. And they run predominantly the exact same ops. It already starts off pretty sad because Canadian loses a bunch of his health to an impact. I don't understand. Actually, no, I do. I take that back. I understand when you're under a lot of stress, people have a lot of adrenaline, and you're going to push buttons and move your mouse quicker than you would if you were in a normal cognitive state. So, yes, okay, the impact came out too soon, too close to Canadian, whatever. But the fact that they also went the same side again is really concerning to me, because either they feel that Dorms is their best site and they're still losing it, or they don't feel confident enough with their bottom stairs hold or their downstairs hold, and all they've got is this site, which is a yikes. What I like about this, and this is what I was thinking about before, especially when I was watching them, is considering Empire do a tower take every single time, no matter the site, why not hold it? Why not pressure it? Why not see if you can take one pick and then run away? So Geo's in there. Canadian's in there. Good, you got 2 players. What goes wrong? Canadian runs away with his 78 HP or whatever and goes to kitchen with NVK. Okay, all right. Plan not a go? Plan not what they wanted? Didn't want to do that anymore? I don't know. Who decided not to do that? You opened all the doors, you looked like you were going to aggress on it, and then you didn't do it. And so now Empire are just standing there going, are there people in tower or not? Because it's like super set up as if they are holding tower. But what they're doing instead is a kitchen or a pantry to meeting rotate, which is fine. Mind you, we'll stress again that Empire don't really take meeting. They just kind of take attic. So they don't really care if you're playing in meeting. So if you've put a lot of utility or a lot of time or a lot of manpower into meeting, then I don't think you've analyzed this correctly. So again, they rappel up on dorms. They have Dan hold the attic line of sight. I think they even put a nomad on the meeting door for Dan to help him out. So what the whole, I do want to say really critically, the whole point of roamers, if you're going to have them, is to either delay time or to try and take picks. And at the moment, Canadian and Geo are doing nothing. They're not doing that. Because as they've seen, the past however many rounds they've gone top floor, Empire don't care about meeting. They simply do not push it. They simply do not care. They only care about holding the line of sight onto attic, and then any of the people trying to rotate to big tower via meeting. It's the only thing they care about. Then they put pressure on double window, and then they put a dual pressure on dorms windows. So what about you makes you think that these players are intimidated by your presence in meeting? or downstairs because they just don't care. They're not going to push you. So why did they do that? Who decided that? What IGL call was that? Now this is the bottom to top retake that clearly Canadian and Geo wanted to do. Mind you, the nomading that's been coming out from Joystick has been mechanical and methodical every single time in tower. It's been the same with minor adaptations as to where he puts it. So the impact comes out from Canadian. He runs up. Dan gets one. Karzeka gets one onto Canadian because he tried to run out. Dan gets MVK, who tried to run all the way from Armory. Then Geo's just there like, oh my freaking goodness, this is not this is not the plan. This was not the plan or the play, chief. Like, Canadian, like, how did they not think of Dan first? Like, how did they not go, instead of peeking outside, our actual problem is the person inside the room with us? Instead, he tried to peek outside. I don't understand that thought process there. I don't know where in his head he went, outside, the people outside on dorms are more important to me than Dan, who is right above me. Both him and Geo could have gone upstairs while MVK ran outside exposing himself, which took away Dan's attention. Not that MVK had to run outside, that was to me ridiculous, but both him and Geo could have gone up and gotten rid of the entire flank hold, and I guarantee Empire crumbles because they're standing there trying to watch tower from then on. So my heart breaks for EG because there's so many critical mistakes that you can see so quickly here as to why this went downhill so quickly. This was not the play. Geo pre-fires and knows his position is given away and rotates off. Perfect decision. He knows he can't engage that on his own. He needs to get the F back to side. Now, if you're EG, you know you have to take a pick or two. You have to be aggressive. Unfortunately, when you're in this, a 5v3 situation, taking a pick or two can be the difference between you winning or losing this round. So the aggressiveness is rather warranted, even though it looks ridiculous. Shouldn't they be playing safe? Well, yeah, but when you're being surrounded slowly, and the opposition has, an entire minute left to slowly work out where each three of you are, it's time you need to take some picks. Scyther, wallbangs Necrox, unsurprising. He's consistently on that double window, wallbanging through the mattress and whatnot. It's a popular spot. So unfortunately for Necrox, gone. It's now a 5v2. And if you're Geo and Young, it is a horrific situation to be in. The pings, they're hot droning. This is how you drone, ladies and gentlemen. Boom. And now it's just Geo going, oh my god, this was not what had been planned by the start of the round. And he's just going to do his best. He takes out Dan, but he just can't take out Scyther as well. And this is where it got super scary for EG. Absolute panic, absolute chaos erupting here for EG. Now, it kind of like, for me, it seems like a lot of the mistakes come out from only several players of EG. Canadian being one who made some really, really critical errors on some really, really important roles on a couple of those rounds throughout this matchup. And then a couple other players misusing their utility or I don't know, but not making the decisions they needed to have made or holding areas of the map they needed to have held. Now, of course, Empire goes on to defense. And this is actually their worst side, the defensive side on Oregon, at least against EG, has been their worst side. Surprising, Scyther decides to go Echo, considering last time he played it, he actually played really aggressively on the dorm windows and died really quickly. But it does look like he decides to do something completely different. So rather than playing overly aggressively there, oh no, take it back. He decides, you know what, didn't work the first time, bet you it works the second. I actually missed that when I was sitting there. Joystick does an excellent job in kitchen. So he plays there with a couple of bandit charges on his dining wall. And EG now know that they have to do this. Geo drones for himself into tower. Make sure that there's no one playing there. And Young jumps a drone through, I don't know why, through construction. And Canadian then decides to open white stairs window and see what he can do about taking this dining control. Again, each EG player droning for themselves. Super slow, but they're slowly taking the map control that they need. Now Canadians on the roof. Shock. My goodness. Joystick in kitchen, still pretty well uncontested. And we're hitting the halfway mark in the round. So for me, either EG needs to work out now if it's a dawn push they want to do, because if it's a dawn push, they need kitchen control. You cannot, unless you've got like smokes, a Capitero, I don't freaking know, some kind of magic up your sleeve, you cannot rappel into dorms and get a plant down if you don't have kitchen control. There are 2 Empire members down in kitchen. Necrox is watching the run out, which Joystick usually does from dining. And he puts a drone there and he sees. But just because you see them doesn't mean they go away. They still are going to be watching the rappel in. Cooking all the ADSs. And Shepard's just dancing around dorms. He's getting away with so much area. No one on double window to pressure if he rotates out. So Shepard's laughing because he goes, well, I actually can move wherever I want. This nade not hitting, I remember sitting there and realizing it didn't hit, was super upsetting because Geo's usually really on point with his grenades. Another one comes out. And had he have got that kill, I do wonder if this would have gone another way, this match. Karzeka gets Young. And Joystick's playing in small tower now. Now, when you've got 30 seconds left in your EG, you haven't taken any bottom floor control. You've barely taken attic. Not that you needed it. You're trying to wait for picks. I mean, oh, my heart for them. They really didn't do what they needed to have done. So now they're droning everything out, trying to work it all out. Necrox is trying to 1v1 Joystick, who is literally just wasting his time, literally dancing around because it doesn't matter. He's trying to get his attention away from kitchen. Necrox realizes this, realizes he has to go and try and challenge the people downstairs because otherwise his teammates can't get in. Joystick picks up Canadian. MVK takes out Dan. Karzeka then trades back onto MVK. And then EG are left in a 2v4 with 10 seconds left. Now, I could say a heck of a lot about this round. I can say a heck of a lot of what they didn't do. I can say a heck of a lot of what Empire did way too riskily. I don't even think that's weird. They did way too many risky moves that EG could have taken advantage of, which they didn't. And that's why it went down this way. A 4v1, your neck rocks, your heart's absolutely pumping. You take out one, but you can't take out all. And it's all over. One thing about, and a lot of people come to me, and I think the EG boys are some of the best players in the world. They really are. But together, they need better cohesion. Because a lot of the times when they play, unless you can tell that they've stratted, they look so disjointed. I don't want to be overcritical of them because it's not like Empire played amazingly, right? They didn't play anything extraordinarily. They played just their default strats, and the comeback was absolutely amazing. What I think is wrong with EG's playstyle is that they seem to lose sight of the fact that you can still be coordinated even if you can't push the way that you'd already strategized. On a map like Oregon, it is very well known if you want to push dorms and they have vertical holes that you must push kitchen. There is no two ways about it. You can capital the holes so that they can't see and they might miss their shots. But that's really the only other counter to it. You must remove or distract the people below the rappel in, or you must have someone come in from double window, or you must do a bedroom take. There is such default ways to push top floor, and the fact that they didn't do any of that, they just waited for picks on a grand final of a pro league final, screams to me they did not know how to play this map, which is worrisome because if you coming into a pro league final knowing very well that you're likely to come up against Empire and you don't work out how to push their favorite map, if you're not going to ban it first and you don't expect them to pick it, then I don't know where the miscommunication came from for EG. I really don't, and it was such a shame for me because they did so well in map 1. Map 2 should have been that clean sweep for them, which they had going for them. Empire made so many mistakes in the first half of this map that it should have been easy for EG to clean up on them. So they turned around and they threw a heck of a lot of rounds, didn't really have any attacking strategy, none that I could really tell of from that entire matchup on Oregon. And when they did have the areas of brilliance, it was out of gunplay. It was out of superior gunplay or superior grenade play or something like that, of which Siege, you can never just rely on gunplay. It's not how it works. They ran out of time on so many rounds. They ran out of ability to get the execution down. I mean, if you're a support player on EG, you're young and you're sitting there going, I literally cannot do my job because I literally can't, my team can't get me into sight, then you're probably one of the most frustrated players in the world. So I am worried that they weren't as prepared with their attack strats as they should have been. It didn't look like they wanted to even push kitchen, which is a critical mistake for a top floor hold. You can't not do that if there are vertical holes. Otherwise, you've got to go double window, you've got to go bedroom. And it's such a shame because some great players on EG that really deserve to take this out. But when you've got mental fortitude like Team Empire, who are so methodical, so monotonous, they do the same thing every round. They just needed to get their confidence back up. And as soon as they did, it was all over for EG. It really was. Those last couple of rounds were really solidly in the side of Team Empire. So it seems to me that the lack of adaptation or the lack of just actually having a default strat that you push a site with, rather than dancing around the map, sort of trying to work out which way you want to enter, which way you want to do it. Everyone droning for themselves on EG. I really do hope that that's something that they look back on that VOD and go, look, we can't all be droning for ourselves. We're wasting too much time. We can't all be trying to hold one angle each. We're wasting too much time. We should try and clear this area together and have, you know, Necrox droning for me, like, you know, and you, and we all push in and we get our picks, and then we try and push site and we try and get the execution down, but it just wasn't there. And unfortunately, they were just trying to take their 1v1s rather than trying to take site. And that's really what went wrong for EG. And a lot of people have messaged me after this match to ask me why I thought this happened to EG, why I thought they weren't able to clean up this match, why they thought sort of Empire sort of came back on them, which is not a hard thing to do. When you switch halves, you can lose all of your momentum. You can absolutely lose it all. Both teams could be the best at attack or best at defense. Happened to Penta and Chaos on Coastline. We were the best at defense, and so were they. So when it came to the other half, and then they had their momentum, of course, going into OT, they were the ones with momentum because their second half was defense. Sometimes it happens that way, and you can't break the opponent's momentum, their progression in that matchup. And yeah, I think for EG, they fell trapped to their own little mistakes here and there, and really critical mistakes. It may not seem obvious to them or you guys now, but things like peeking when you don't need to, using utility in ways you don't need to, being in really off positions or being predictable with your jump outs. There were those things that I think really lost the final for EG. And a lot of people turn to me and say, well, EG lost because they were tilted. No, I will not agree with that any day of the week. They were outdone in a lot of their gameplay. Just because you're having a stressful game, of which most people have stressful games, doesn't mean that making that many critical errors can be solely put to you being stressed. There is no possible way that you can tell me that each of those players in a normal Pro League match don't just drone for themselves. Waste a minute and a half because they're all slowly droning for themselves. Or you tell me in their other matches that they take sections of the map by themselves. No way in my mind am I going to ever agree with the fact that that was just them being tilted. I don't agree, because I think some of those players are some of the most experienced players, and I do mean some of the most experienced players in the scene, who have been through many a lands, many of really highly competitive environments and games, and no way you're telling me that each of them who droned for themselves, who made critical peaking errors, who over-peaked, that they don't do that in scrims and official games as well. Because Empire is a fiercely good team. And if you've got a team out there that does the exact same strats every round and still wins, and they didn't do counter strats, then that's on EG. Because I'll tell you what happens when you do counter strats on a predictable team. You beat them. Because you find holes in their strategy and you absolutely manipulate it. So I will not agree with the fact that EG lost because they were tilted. I won't agree with that, because if you actually watch the VOD, especially on this map, with how many mistakes they made, and then you say, oh, they made those mistakes because they were tilted, then okay, I guess every team loses a map because they're tilted. There is no excuse. And you can blame stress for some things, but you can't blame stress on everything. You really can't. So I guess that's my sort of overview of the Oregon map between EG, Team Empire, and what really turned it around and gave Empire a well-deserved win. They did start off the map absolutely wonky. Wonky as I've ever seen them play that map. And to come back like that, showed that they were confident that their strategies worked, making minor adaptations here and there, but nothing changing overwhelmingly. And they really showed what it means to be a professional team, to push through and have mental fortitude and to come back like that. So I guess TLDR, e.g. a lot of really base level stuff that they could work on going into the future. A lot of it drone related, a lot of it cohesion and coordination related, because each of their players individually are very good. All that they need is some glue to stick them all together in a really strong way. And that way, I guarantee you see a world-class EG. So whether or not they just need to practice in a different way, or Gotcha needs to turn around and say, we need to redo the way that you do your attacks, because their defense isn't that bad. It's not bad. I think they're a little bit too aggressive in some of the areas which they could work on, but it's really in areas of their attack where they just look lost. And you take away that lost feeling, and you give them step by step, and you give certain people droning roles, and you give certain people roam clearing roles, and you give them zones of the map that they need to have taken by a certain time, and you tell them which area they need to have the diffuser in, and who needs to be pressuring what, so you can get the execute down. And I promise you, EG comes out absolutely crushing their opponents. So that's really all it is for EG. And I really think that if we see them work on that, they will be a terrifying team. And if they don't start to work on that, then people and teams will start to take advantage of them doing solo things. So I appreciate you guys being here for as long as we've been here together. I think it's been just over 2 hours now of us going through this matchup between EG, Team Empire on Oregon. And absolute congratulations to Team Empire, who flipped the switch and brought it back to win the grand finals. It was a beautiful event to be at, and I thoroughly suggest if you guys can ever go to any of these events, minors, majors, pro league finals, whatever it is, definitely go. The atmosphere is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, thanks for being here. Any questions, comments, whatever, this is going up on my YouTube. If you're watching this on my YouTube or on my Twitch, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, leave a comment, whatever it is that you guys want to do. But if you're watching this live with me now, thank you so much for being here. We'll do this again next week. I'll put a poll up on my Twitter so you guys can pick a game that we can go through. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. And for those of you who are watching me live, in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'll be coming back live to play some TTS ranked. So catch me then, guys.